All right. Hi, guys. We're back with You Better Take a Look at This. I think is what we're calling it. I think that's what Mike and I kind of decided on. No idea. But either way, last week you guys saw that I recommended Miss Meadows to Mike and starring Katie Holmes, Avenging Angel. It's crap. And Mike thought so as well. So knowing if you follow this podcast and you follow Happy Hour Films and you listen to us all the time, you'll know that I am not an anime guy. I'm just not an anime guy. For some reason it's off-putting to me. It doesn't entertain me. It takes something like Princess Mononoke to be like a metal movie, like, something that's got some balls to it, but so Mike, knowing that, decided he was going to recommend to me Ghost Stories, which is a anime television show and is from 2001. And the trick with this thing is, though, that I was specifically told to watch the English dub, is what I was told to watch. And I am proud to say right off the bat, I'm going to say, good job, Mike. Great recommendation. I'm glad I took a look at this because this is one of just the crazier things I've seen. And not in the sense that what I was seeing visually is anything remarkable, because as you can see, it's nothing. It's Studio Ghibli-ish. That's it. That's the first thing I thought of, like, oh, Studio Ghibli, whatever. But this is like the style of anime that I think of when I think of anime, and it's why I don't really get into it, because I don't know, for some reason, how some people are like, oh, animation's for kids. That's what I think of when I see this. I go, that style, I go, it's for kids. What the hell am I doing? But but it turns out that there's something a little bit different with this one. And the story goes, if you don't know about it, Ghost Stories is this television show. It was a Japanese anime. It was boring. It was crap. No one cared about it, whatever. So Animax, I believe, and Mike's probably going to correct me, and I don't care. I'm just going by what I'm reading on the internet. Who cares? So Animax was, I'm guessing, the original creators of this show. And they sold it to an American dubbing company called ADV Films. And they were a studio behind Neon Genesis Evangelion, something called Elfen Lied. I don't know what that is, but I know Neon Genesis Evangelion. But so they took this show and they just gave the rights away with no creative control to these ADV Films people. And they only had like two rules, one of which was you gotta keep the names the same, and you gotta let them keep the way the ghosts die the same, way they're captured the same. Because this show, generally speaking, is just a bunch of kids, like five kids, like right there. You got five students. They are all in this boarding school, this school essentially, and they find this like old schoolhouse that's like haunted, and there's all kinds of ghosts and shit that go on, and they're essentially just ghost of the week. They got to find a way to survive the little story that these ghosts have, figure shit out, and then get them trapped back into whatever they can trap them back into. So it's fine as a premise, but the thing where the English dub comes in is that ADV Films was like, you know what we're going to do? We're just not going to care. We're going to do whatever the hell we want. And it's amazing that they did. And it's great that they were allowed to do it for the 20 episodes that they were allowed to do it. But one of the things that is just completely out of nowhere is the fact that this is a very much like almost a kind of like just like a mystery science theater 3000 type of thing. It's like a riff tracks kind of thing. It feels very off the cuff, which apparently it was, because apparently whatever voice actor showed up first was able to just creatively control the episode. They could come up with whatever they want. They'd send it in whatever direction they wanted to. They would do anything they could to just get this episode done in whatever way they could. 99% of the time, from what I could say, it was hilarious and completely bonkers, off the wall. So for this, Mike had me watch episode 1, episode 5, episode 9 and 10, and episode 20. That's about all you really need to see to be able to get the gist of the show, is especially episode 1. That'll give you the gist of it. You got these two right here. You got Sasuke, and you got her little brother Kojimo, I think his name is, but or Kojime or something. And I'm not even gonna try, because my favorite though is Momoko back here. She's my favorite. We'll get to her. But then there's Hajime here, who's a little underwear panty hound, and he's a little pervert. And back there is your little tech nerd. And he plays a role, but the thing with him is the show took place in 2001, and you can tell because his outfits all say the word 2001 on them. And he's got some fun lines in there, but my favorite, like I said, by far is Momoko, and we're gonna get to her. But these two right here, we got Satsuki and Kojime. They are brother and sister, and they're new to this town, they're new to this school, and they are, oh, Kenjiro, I'm sorry, it's Kenjiro is his kid's name, my bad, I'm looking at my notes, he's Kenjiro, like it matters. So they are new to the school, they stumble across this abandoned schoolhouse on their first day of school. Turns out that they missed the entire first day of school on their first adventure, and the first episode is called Tonight the Spirits Will Be Resurrected. So right there, that's the plot of the show. Spirits are resurrected, we got to find a way to stop them. Now, there are so many different things in this show that I think if I were to watch the regular Japanese version with subtitles, which I'm never going to do, I don't think anyone probably should from what I've read, it would essentially be like, oh, we have an ancient spirit, we need to trap it, done. How boring is that? That sucks. And that's the kind of shit about anime that when I see that, I'm like, I'm bored. I'm so bored. I'm sure the ancestors and mysticism and ghosts and all that is probably really rich in history in Japan, which I know it is, but when you're giving it to me boring like that, I don't care. I just don't care. I need some wild stuff to happen. I don't need tentacle porn, but I just need something wild to happen. And in this show, thankfully, these American or English dub voice artists simply did not care. Just simply did not care. So you get lines, you get lines like my girl Momoko here, she is a devout Christian, like fundamentalist, essentially, like almost like a born again Christian. So everything out of her mouth is something to do with Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, that kind of stuff. And there's one thing that she says to Kenjiro here. One of the first things she says in the show, she says, "Oh, there's nothing to be afraid of. Monsters only eat evil people like Republicans." It's like, and when I heard that, it was like one of the first off the wall lines of this show. And I was like, wait, what did I get into? What did Mike have me watch? And I was like, did I hear that right? It's almost because you see the anime style and then you hear the words like that. And you go, what? Why is she talking about Republicans? She's Japanese, you know? What does that mean? They don't have Republicans over there. So I'm like, okay, maybe let's see where this goes. So then 2 seconds later, we get the neighbor kid, Hajime, this guy. We get him saying giggity giggity. And this show is 2001. So Family Guy was very much a thing, and Quagmire was very much a thing. So somebody I'm picturing in the voiceover studio sitting there with a TV on or something like that. And they're just like, yeah, Family Guy's on. I guess we'll do that. Oh, giggity. Let's just throw that in the show. Who cares? There's no script. What's it matter? So by the end of the first episode, we are also given a little more insight into Momoko because she says she gives a little example of her past where it's when I volunteered at the wonderful Exodus homosexual conversion camp. Wow, again, a very American Christian fundamentalist thing to do. So again, very contradictory statements, very contradictory images with the words, and it's English dubs for anime are always kind of stilted and weird because they have to match the mouth movements of the original animation and the original actors. But for some reason with this, it was like, we're just going to throw out whatever. We don't care. It does not matter. And it's so perfect. If all anime could be like this, you would be looking at anime's #1 fan, #1 fan till the day I die. But alas, it's not. Unfortunately, I only have about 20 episodes of this show to cement my fandom. Other than that, I'm asleep. I'm just asleep. It's like, I don't care. I don't care. So next was episode 5, which was Dado exclamation point. The blood-soaked school sports festival. Like basically like the title of like a Cannibal Corpse album, essentially. And again, we start off right off the bat. Only this time we got Satsuki going, Joel Osteen's church wouldn't be my first choice for vacation. And then Momoko says, if you prefer, we can get a Praise World in Topeka. Again, Topeka, Kansas, not Topeka, Osaka, And then we had Satsuki responds, but I'll stick with Knott's Berry Farm, thanks. It's like, wow, what very specific American jokes that we're making here. So again, anime, English, American like pop culture jokes for some reason they don't immediately hit you, but when they do, you're like, okay, this is good. I enjoy this. This is a good time. And there's a certain amount of like stereotypical anime stuff. And talking to Mike, apparently Hajime is apparently him being a panty hound, because he's always trying to get a look at Satsuki's panties. He's always trying to get some of her panties. Apparently that's like a stock anime type. So in this show, the normal one is the one that is constantly trying to get a girl's underwear. And that to me is kind of crazier than the American English dub of this, the don't give a shit dub that goes on here. That guy right there, the panty hound. He's the normal one, mind you. Again, just more reasons why I'm like, oh, okay, but every show, every anime thing is not like this. So that would probably be weird to me. In this show, for some reason, it works. So there are a ton of American celebrity jokes in this. I think there's a Paris Hilton joke at one point. There's all kinds of very weirdly off-putting, well, it's not weirdly off-putting, it is off-putting, homophobia and racist jokes in this, especially this episode. There's a line where Hajime is trying to coach Kenjiro here, and because Kenjiro is trying to run track and Hajime is trying to coach him a little bit, and the way he does that is he said, I think no, it's not, it's some other kid, but either way, the line that's uttered is, "You're a F word," and meaning a slur against gay people. "You're a bundle of sticks," let's say, and he should join the football team. It's like, oh, okay. And then while Kendra is running, Hajime's way of encouraging him is to yell, "Think of a big black man chasing you." And it's like, wow, oh my God, did I expect outright racism and homophobia in this? No, I did not. But apparently that's what you get when you let a random ass English dubbing studio just completely go wild. And I guess I would hope that they were drunk or something, just let it slide in, and this wasn't a sober thought to put in this script or whatever, but fine. It was 2001. I guess even Japanese anime dubs were fine with those jokes, whatever. Then there's also a lot of self-aware third wall breaking that, I guess because it's 2D animation, they break the third wall instead of the fourth wall, which is what a traditional sitcom would break. It's fine. It's very meta and self-referential. Like they're talking about being in the episode a lot. Talking about previous episodes, themes, stuff like that, like stock anime poses. I think there's one episode where Hajime's got his hands like behind his head, and he's like, "No, I'm just leaning here doing my standard anime pose." It's like, I guess if I watched more anime, I'd probably know what that was. But either way, I chuckled. So there's also a random line between Satsuki and Momoko where Satsuki asks Momoko, "What do you think?" And Momoko's response is, "What does bootylicious mean?" So that's the kind of jokes that you're getting here. And that's the kind of feel you get with this. Is very off the cuff, improvised. It's whatever's coming out of us is coming out of us in that situation. And it's very, again, not off-putting, but very startling at first, and then your brain like processes it, and you're like, "Oh, okay, that's pretty funny." So then the next two episodes are episode 9, Shirotabi, the corpse that wanders the night. This was the bunny episode. Now, I think that's one of the more infamous ones, and the bunny episode, there's a great line because there's this random girl in the class that they have in Satsuki's class. She's kind of like the quiet nerd, the quiet weird kid, that kind of thing. And you find out the little Kenjiro here, beginning of the episode, is having wet dreams. Sure. It comes to nothing, it goes to nothing, but sure, why not? He's 7. So then there's Hajime and kind of sticks Satsuki with the new girl. And at one point, Satsuki goes off on Hajime and she says, "Oh, what? You're feeling guilty about putting me with Little Miss Watership Down?" That got a great laugh out of me. So, because this girl loves bunnies. And if you see Watership Down, you'll understand why that joke is absolutely hilarious. There is also a Oz reference in this. And I'm not talking about the Wizard of, I'm talking about HBO prison show Oz. And it's again weird because these are all very 2001 references and they're very specific, but they're not things that you would expect in what you would presume to be a child's anime show or like a young kid's anime cartoon, which I'm sure if the Japanese version tried to sneak that in, somebody would have to kill themselves. They'd have to throw themselves out a window or something. It could not work anymore because they would have dishonored somebody, but I'm sure that's not really the case. Maybe it is. Who knows? We'll find out together, I guess. Um, but so then there is this the teacher has the sex talk with the kids using rabbits at one point. And he gives the whole boy bunny, mommy, like girl bunnies, all that. And then he says, then the girl rabbit acts like she owns the boy rabbit. And it's like, okay, interesting insight. But again, very off the cuff, very ad libby. Then the next episode is episode 10. Anna Maneki, the tunnel with no exit. Now this one, it's about a ghost cab driver essentially who is haunting this tunnel, and his entire story essentially revolves around the fact that he went to a massage parlor, potentially got an STD, and on the way home from getting the test results, he got in a car crash and died in this tunnel. So that's why he haunts this tunnel. There's a Lost reference in this. There is the cab driver sounds just like Kevin Spacey, which is really creepy. Then there is this little runner where nerd boy back there, I'm not even gonna try to remember his name. He really wants to get home to watch the True Hollywood Story of Sean Young, Lieutenant Einhorn from Ace Ventura, or she's from Blade Runner as well. She plays Rachel in Blade Runner. So that's going there, and it's very weird to see these little Japanese kids make these references. And then this is the one where it was strange too, because for some reason the theme song at the beginning and the end switched to English. I mean, it switched to Japanese from English, and it's very strange, very strange. And again, it kind of goes with the whole theme of who cares, who gives a shit? Let's just do whatever. The theme song was in English for the first half of the show. Screw it. Back half, it's Japanese. Let's go with it. Who cares? And then of course we get the final episode, episode 20, Farewell Amanajako. Now, Amanajako is the ghost from the first episode of the show. They trap him in the body of their cat. And the cat, from what I understand, is just making jokes the whole time. Like he's a sarcastic dick. He's kind of an asshole because he's an ancient Japanese god stuck in this little black cat. And I guess you'd be a dick too if you were an ancient all-powerful god and you got stuck in a feline. I have 2 cats of my own. Sometimes I think they're possessed by Japanese demons as well because they're dicks too, but they can't tell me. This one can. So in this episode, you can just see it's all gone. Any kind of reservations they may have had are completely out the window because they're throwing fucks around. They're throwing all kinds of F-bombs. All of the sex jokes are much more vulgar and more profanity, all that stuff. It's very, at one point, Hajime and Nerd Boy are climbing a ladder where when Momoko climbs over them and she goes over, they're like a human ladder and she goes over the fence. But when she does, they look up and they look right up into her panties and up her skirt. And then she turns around on the other side of the fence. She looks at the over. She goes, "What are you guys waiting for?" And their response is, "Our boners to go down." It's like, okay, all right, that's what we're looking for. And then there's even a Studio Ghibli reference in here. There's a Shades of Spirited Away joke that's made. And for me, the all-time kicker of a joke of a what are we doing joke, where did this come from joke, there is a David Letterman reference from the 90s, which was the "Did you say Uma or Oprah?" I'm sure if you look it up on YouTube, just put Letterman Uma Oprah gag, you'll see the joke. And it's not so much a joke as Dave thought those 2 names sounded funny, and just by sheer force of will, being David Letterman, made that a joke. And for it to pop up in this 2001 random anime show, I thought was both genius and insane at the same time. And then one of the last lines of the show is, since we haven't seen Hajime for a while, Satsuki says, "We replaced Hajime's lube with super glue, and well, we haven't heard from Hajime recently." So that's a hell of a joke to go out on. That's a hell of a joke to go out on. A little kid jerking off, and he says he's in 4th grade, a 4th grader jerking off and getting his hands super glued to his own dick. That's just a wonderful way to wrap up a completely nuts run on a show. So that being said, I gotta say thank you, Mike. This was a good one to go with. On the other hand, there is still my request that I have to give Mike. And so next week, Mike already knows what he's watching, but I'll give you guys the hint before I do my little intro next time. I'm gonna make Mike watch Society. If you've never seen the movie Society, if you have seen the movie Society, you know exactly what he's in for. If you haven't seen it and like to prepare, I would suggest downloading the Shutter app, watching it on there, and then you can write me the hate mail all you want, or you can write me the praise mail, because I know some of you are gonna love it, because it's a phenomenal movie. And everyone should see it at least once, especially horror fans, you know. So Mike's gonna watch Society. I'm just gonna wait, you know, with like fingers tented, like Mr. Burns kind of thing, like, oh, so excited. And I'm waiting for him to just text me right when he's watching this movie, because it's things are gonna happen, and I know when he's gonna text me, and it's gonna be amazing. So until that time next week, I have enjoyed Ghost Stories, and I'm glad that Mike said I should probably take a look at this. So until we meet again next time, see you later, guys.